Wilkow, SATCOM 1, covenant.
SATCOM 1 is a go. Firing up SATCOM 2. SATCOM 2 is live.
The fusion of rational thought and political analysis. This is what your brain has been waiting for. News, politics, and issues. Enhanced. You have just joined the Wilkow Majority.
The next generation of great talk radio, the undisputed leader of the new school. Andrew Wilkow, Sirius XM Patriot. Phone lines, as always, 1-866-95-PATRIOT. The email, to spell my name right, WILKOW at WilkowMajority.com. Individual Patriot first, conservative second, Republican third, and working every single day to make this the most popular program offered by Sirius XM Satellite Radio, because it's based in one thing and one thing only, and that is rational thought. So welcome to the Wilkow Majority. I'm Andrew Wilkow. Well, I guess if we're going to talk about the war on women and voting, and somehow Joni Ernst can be against women's issues, or any other woman running as a Republican and a conservative, why not bring in some authors, right? Joining me in studio are Miriam Weaver and Amy Jo Clark. Right for a reason, life, liberty, and a crapload of common sense.
I love the way that rolls off your tongue, because so many people that we've been interviewing with have had trouble saying it.
Well, they're afraid to say
they
it.
don't want to say it.
What part of it can't they get?
Well, I think it's because
the crap
and
load.
we're on Sirius XM. You can say crap load without going. Oh my
We
gosh.
don't curse on this program.
Is the
We
FCC.
can. People always say, "Well, you can curse. You're on Sirius XM," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I think it cheapens the
Yeah.
the fact that I can f-bomb.
Yeah.
I think it kind of cheapens. If you're making a strong intellectual point, I just don't think it's necessary.
You know, we think the same way on our site.
Yes.
Because we don't
keep
really,
it clean.
We
I
keep
mean,
it
off
pretty
the air, it's a
clean on our
different story.
site.
You know,
we
different
curse
story.
like sailors off the air and
or in
regular
between
lives.
segments.
Yes, but when we're obviously on the air, we can't do that. But when we're on our site, we keep it pretty clean. Yeah, we do.
All right, let's
There's no
start
reason to
with
do
this. This whole they tried to bring back the war on women thing, and even some Democrat operatives are saying that they've spent way too much time on women and social issues and not the economy. I am fascinated by the whole war on women thing, because if you're going to say that this is my right, wherever you stand on abortion and birth control, if you're going to say this is an issue of privacy, this is my private life, how can you say, well, the government and my employer have to be involved as a silent partner? Either you're asserting your individual privacy or you're not. That is something I've never understood, how they message that.
We don't understand either, and that's why we devoted a lot in our book to that very subject.
An entire chapter, at least, on the war on women.
And
then
the
a
whole
couple
subject
other,
of sugar daddies, because instead of just a plain old what you think of as a sugar daddy anymore, now it's the government, and for some reason that's okay.
Yeah. They've always said, you don't want a man taking care of you, but it's totally okay for the government to take care of you.
Well, you don't want a man taking care of you unless that man happens to be a bureaucrat.
Absolutely. Unless that man happens to be the sugar daddy government. Mm-hmm. But a sugar daddy's bad. But the sugar daddy government is good.
That was the whole Life of Julia thing. I remember looking at that and saying, do women is this what women fought for?
Oh, it's
was
terrible.
to be a client of the state from
parasite.
cradle to the grave. I don't remember anyone burning their bra saying, I want the government to take care of me.
I want to be a parasite.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It sounds like you're reading chapter 8 right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get to one of the chapters. Let me go right to it right now on headline from this chapter. Have we mentioned that the GOP sucks at messaging? Conservatives, however, need to recognize that we have a pesky messaging problem to contend with. Unfortunately, we don't have the stranglehold on the media that the left does. So the narrative is driven by those who say right-wingers hate anyone who isn't white, and we are given the microphone. We're not the coolest of the bunch. It is true. The RNC is god awful at messaging. They just it's like one bad sequel after another. Like the original movie sucked, and now part 2 and 3 suck.
Yep. And I feel like we're a lot of times it's served up. The stupidity on the other side is served up to us on a platter, and we're sitting there and we're like, do something. Please do something to combat this. And they don't do anything. It's like right there for the taking, and they don't do anything to combat it. It drives us crazy. And so we write about it, and we try to combat it. But we're just two chicks from Indiana. It's like, what can we do?
You're doing radio now.
We are, but we're just two voices. So it's, I feel like, where are the ads? Where are the, where's the big campaign against the crap on the other side?
Well, here's one. Whenever you have an issue like the war on women, immediately the next female Republican to the microphone is the rising star.
Yeah.
Like this knee-jerk reaction of like, we'll throw a woman out there. That'll satisfy them. No. The problem that I think that we're facing is that the Democrats and progressives are so very good at emotion. Mm-hmm. And the idea that you're going to get the electorate to jettison the emotion and listen to boring things. Republicans come across as very boring.
And stuffy. And humorless.
We could instill more emotion, though, into our messaging. We could tell people, this is what we can do that is good for your families in the long run. This is what we could do that is good for you individually. We just don't do that enough. We don't.
But then you risk, the thing is that the Republicans are trying to find their own way to pander, just like the Democrats, whether it's talking to black voters or gay voters or Hispanic voters. They're trying to do what the Democrats do, which is carve up these tiny little individual messages and say, here's your shiny thing. Here's your little shiny thing. Now come vote for us. Yeah. And that's the opposite of what Republicans should be doing. And I know we can't live off of Ronald Reagan forever, but the idea that you're going to parse up the message for every individual group and then hope you get an aggregate of those groups, that works for, I'll say it like this, conservatives can win an argument, progressives can win elections. And until you make your arguments the reason why people vote, you lose.
And that's why, that's what drove us to start our website back in 2009. We were so frustrated about the messaging and the lack of effective messaging that the GOP had. We thought we just want to be talked to like regular people with some straight talk and maybe some snark and humor along the way. And so that's what we created, is we created a website where we could just act and talk like we do at lunch or having cocktails, and that's what's resonated with people.
I'll throw this one to you. This is what I would say to mostly to female voters. You're supposed to know when you're being pandered to. If you go shopping for a car and the first thing the salesman says is, well, they come in lots of colors, and look, there's a makeup mirror. There's some other guy saying, well, this is the size of the choices of engines. This is the miles per gallon. This is if it's off-road capable. Mm-hmm. It's like, you and your technical specs, you're so boring. Well, if you want to be pandered to, you're going to get more pandering. And the sad thing is, it's hard. It's so hard at this point to get people to understand you're being pandered to. Yeah. Because maybe some people like being pandered to.
I think they do. I think they really do like it. They also like being taken care of, which is a really hard thing to compete against. That's what we're finding, is that, you have a lot of people on the other side of the aisle. They like the handouts. They like feeling like they're being taken care of. That's a hard thing to compete with.
And worse is that they like feeling like victims, and they're constantly victimizing themselves. That's what the left does best.
And women are doing that. Democrat women are doing that. And that's not what feminism is. It's not what it was supposed to be.
Joining me on the program are Miriam Weaver and Amy Jo Clark. The book is Right for a Reason, Life, Liberty, and a Crapload of Common Sense. I'll throw you one of my standard things about feminism, and let's see how you bounce with this. When you look at the rise of the feminist movement in the late 50s, early 60s, the feminist movement, their original promise was to free women of the doldrums of the patriarchal society, that you were going to have to be pretty. You didn't want to be too smart. You wanted to latch onto that man and have a bunch of babies and stay home, and it was going to be leave it to Beaver. Okay, got it. Women were supposed to have more choices. But with all revolutions, be that they social or government, you find in the end you were really just trading one oppressive force for another. So it's, you won't make these choices. You will go out and compete. You will wait till you're in your late 40s before you even think about having children. And let's be honest, we don't really need a man to do it anymore. Well, the sort of the 400-pound hammer of feminism didn't really free women, as it said, now you'll make our choices or we'll condemn you.
Exactly.
And you
Oh my gosh, yes.
you see this a lot. Was it Natalie Morales who said, I'm stepping away to be a mom for a little while? The feminists freaked out.
Go
You're a
crazy.
bad example now. Well, isn't it? Didn't you say you wanted women to make choices?
Yes.
Hillary Clinton said it. Obama just said it this past week. He just said it in relation to what, like funding about he was
About mom staying home.
yeah, and it's like somehow that's a bad choice. I mean, I have friends who have more letters after their name than I do, and they've chosen to stay home with their kids. That's their choice. If they want to make that choice, isn't that what our foremothers fought for?
That's supposed to be what feminism is all about.
Yeah.
Being empowered to make choices as a woman.
My wife chose to stay home. She had a career in private sector law enforcement. I never once said to her, you're going to give this up when we have children. She said to me, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to stay home.
And that's fantastic.
And she said, when the day comes that they're both in school full time, I will go back to work. And that was the choice that she made. When you look at feminists or progressives saying that they are for choices being made by insert group, and then you find what they're really about is limiting choices to their view of the proper choices. We know what's best for you. You're going to do these 4 or 5 things. Well, no. Some women want to stay home. Some women want to go into the corporate world. Some women want to do this. Whatever it is. If you're saying more choices, I'm with you. If you're saying we're gonna instruct women to make the right choices.
Yeah.
Well, who decided that one?
Exactly.
It's so
Apparently
true.
now.
Now here's another one. I'm going to throw out the name Marissa Mayer. We look at big business, and a lot of women think that it's too male, too middle-aged white male. We need more women in the boardroom. Then you get a CEO who acts just like all the other CEOs, and they seem dumbfounded because maybe it felt good to say, we'd like to see a woman running one of these big tech companies. She got in there, and it turned out she ran the company just like the guys, because that's what CEOs do. They're about bottom lines, not, holistic approaches to, or, diversifying the workforce. Share price, profitability, that's the end. And if women learn the same lessons as men, they'll be more competitive.
Business is business.
Business is business. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line.
And people don't like that? What's wrong with that?
Well, I guess the thought is if we have more women in boardrooms, somehow capitalism will become kindler and gentler. When if you're not chasing
Seriously?
a profit, what are you chasing? I'm not. I'm just. Yeah. I'm just the messenger here.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I don't buy that at all.
ridiculous. It's
So are you
absolutely
getting
ridiculous.
Are you getting a lot of hate from progressive women?
We get a lot of hate from progressive women. We get a lot of hate from conservatives too. We just get a lot of hate.
Why do you get hate from conservatives?
Well, because we don't look like, there are a lot of conservatives that are super far right that don't like us, and because we don't fit. Because let's put it this way. People want to compartmentalize other people. They want to compartmentalize conservatives, and they want to compartmentalize us. And we're just not fitting in a box.
Our favorite thing is when we get criticized for being lesbians, which, by the way, we're not.
That's
we're
hilarious,
happily
yeah.
married to men.
How did that happen?
Well, because if we take a photo together, arm in arm, and we're looking like we're best friends.
Well, I'm
which we
standing in the
are.
middle of the last photo
Right.
you took.
Yeah.
Right. But, people, that is what the left will use.
It's not like
as
when
an
I get home, my
insult.
wife's going to go, "Oh, that's what you do all day."
Yeah, hang out with lesbians.
Yeah, now I know why you can't wait to get to work.
There you go.
But it's interesting that the left chooses to use that as an insult. They'll see a picture and they'll call us lesbians as if to denigrate us, which is just, we thought that that was supposed to be, they're supposed to love gay people, be super tolerant of gay people, but that's what they choose to use as an insult. And conservatives get mad at us because, for example, we'll say, "Oh my God," or we'll wear shorts in the summer, or
Shorts
we'll wear,
in the summer. What a crazy idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
'cause
we wear makeup. I mean,
even though women have been wearing shorts since like the 1930s.
30s.
Yeah.
Let me throw another one at you. And I pulled this one thinking this was interesting. Men in leadership positions are called names every day with words rarely, if ever, used to describe women. But those men don't start ridiculous campaigns to ban words or whine that a word has damaged their self-esteem. They don't portray themselves as victims. That was also ironic about the Ban Bossy campaign. It was spearheaded by a woman of influence and power. We still have Miriam Weaver and Amy Jo Clark with us in studio. The book is Right for a Reason, Life, Liberty, and a Crapload of Common Sense. Ban Boss. You know what? When you tell people to ban Bossy, you know what you sound?
Bossy.
Bossy.
Dumbest.
I don't want you using the word bossy anymore. Do you hear me? Nobody's going to use the word bossy.
We thought that was
I got
so
another word that
stupid.
starts with a B and ends with a Y if you're going to sound like that.
We hated that. It was just
Most
the
ridiculous.
And you know what? The most ridiculous thing about this campaign was that they put Beyonce as their little spokeswoman.
Sasha
for
Fierce.
It. Yeah, Beyonce, who sang this ridiculous song. I mean, all of her song lyrics are so awful. I can't even say them on Sirius XM. I don't think.
You could, but we don't want it to be that kind of show.
But I won't do that.
But even if you're using Beyonce, who is a multi-gazillion platinum, do you think she shows up before the tour and says, all right, so you dancers and backup singers, tell me how you feel. What routines do you want to do when we get on the stage? Or do you think she walks in there with her choreographers like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this, you're going to be back there singing backup, you're going to follow my lead? Or do you think she's like, let's have a vote on,
but don't call her bossy.
Yeah, but
Don't
it's not
say
that.
it.
But like her lyrics are like, "I want to be the woman that he likes" and all this stuff. I mean, she is like the most non-empowering chick ever.
And it was so disappointing to see Condi Rice hop on that being bossy train.
We couldn't believe that.
But I don't know what it is when people get to a certain... It's like when the elevator stops at the Ivory Tower and all of a sudden the air is so much thinner up there that you just like start having ridiculous... You know what the world needs? We need to ban the word bossy. Yeah, that's
what we need.
That's the problem women are having in places like Zimbabwe, that the word bossy's being used.
Yeah.
That's such a first world problem. It's like, okay, you know what? I didn't even think to ask you this, but I'm going to get you. I'm going to put the book to the side. Have you seen this video of this woman with the cat calling thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of not getting it. You're a model who poses for a living.
And a wannabe actress.
And you're walking the streets of New York City.
And
you're-
are they bad areas?
In the
I was
worst
gonna
part.
ask
No,
you
she
about
was-
that.
She was
Are they
here in
good
front of
areas?
It was here,
Is that
it
right?
was here in Midtown.
What did I say when we were walking over here? I was actually, I go,
She said, I'm disappointed that we're not getting
But one of the
catcalled.
guys says, hey, beautiful. If that's the biggest problem you face in your day, why are you upset, Shoshana? Somebody shouted, hey, beautiful at me, so now I'm going to blog about it and make a documentary. Again, first world problem. That's to call that sexual harassment. I get it. Sexual harassment. Hey, if you want a promotion, you know it's going to cost you. Okay, I get that, right? I get that men can say things that sound good in their heads, but not appropriate to a woman's ears.
and why didn't she say anything back to them?
But walking with this sort of brooding look on her face, like she is the victim of all these horrible men in New York City. If the worst thing that happens to you in a day is somebody that tells you you're beautiful, baby, you got nothing to be upset about.
Yeah.
Really.
It's just more of that hypersensitive overreaction to that kind of stuff.
But that's when I watched it, I thought, why? I think that the reaction would have been a little bit different, or the guys would have acted differently had she said something to them. If there was maybe a little bit of a dialogue. She said nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because we would probably respond to those kinds of comments by smiling and saying thank you, we are we're basically accepting the patriarchy and contributing to it.
Or the guy that was standing next to her that was a little bit creepy.
That was a
one
little
dude was a
creepy.
little creepy. I would have been like, "Do you have a problem?"
But we're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening in 2014. You mean men trying to get a woman's phone number on the street?
that's
where did this new thing
what a
come
concept.
from?
Yeah, what a concept.
And you know what? This also, me personally, this makes me not want to talk to women at all, even in the office, because if we're going to create these specific shields of I don't know the word I'm looking for here, of offense, then you're potentially walking on a landmine when you talk to anyone who doesn't look like you, worship like you, is of the same gender or sexual orientation. And if we're going to prosecute people for things that, if we're not benefiting from them, we'll agree are innocent, then people are going to stop talking to one another.
Exactly.
If you're in the coffee room and you can't say, hey, that's a nice dress you're wearing, because you're going to be before some review board at HR, then you're probably just not going to say anything at all.
We're going to be like androids walking around.
And I can't count the number of times my husband has gotten yelled at by women simply because he's held a door open for them. I mean, it's ridiculous how upset women are getting over kindness.
But it's some women. It's not all women. It's
Yeah.
not. And it's the some women that make it harder for the all women. Because if you start to poison the workplace, and we know that when people coalesce around tasks and accomplishment and all these things, this is how we find our coworkers who end up getting promoted, or we look to, or this is where leadership comes from, is people working together. If you're making it harder for people to work together, then you're making it harder for women to succeed. If other employees, male employees, feel like they are now unapproachable, well, don't say anything to, what's her name, because she might go running off to
I will
HR.
tell you, if a guy opens the door for me, I praise him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a lost thing, because men are on the defensive because they're afraid.
Chivalry and feminism have a hard time occupying the same space.
absolutely.
If a man opens the door for me, I say, thank you so much for doing that.
We want to positively reinforce that
Thank
behavior.
God that chivalry is still alive. Hallelujah.
All right, phone lines, 1-866-995-PATRIOT. Where are you guys going from here? You guys were on Fox?
We're going
go
home.
Yeah.
Home is
You're our
good.
last stop. We saved the
Thank-
best for
I
last.
knew that was
Look
coming
at that.
All right, Miriam Weaver, Amy Jo Clark, Right for a Reason, Life, Liberty, and a Crapload of Common Sense. And if you want to tell everyone where the radio show is, go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not-
93 WIBC in Indianapolis. And we have a website, www.chicksontheright.com.
All right, Sirius XM Patriot.